Welcome to the Cam and Joe Show. My name's Joe with my good friend Cam.
What's up, Bubba? How are you, man?
I'm so good, bro.
Good.
So good. That convo with Joe
That was money,
was amazing, man.
bro. I
That was
freaking love
absolutely
that
amazing.
guy. I love that guy.
So we've had, hit the button, like, and subscribe. We're business owners. We're going to be talking about some business concepts
We are.
because we've had people ask about staying and operating and keeping kind of sanity
Mhm.
through that and overcoming obstacles, which is business 101.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just hit on that right now.
Let's do it.
What is, I mean, when it comes to what's one of the biggest obstacles you have to overcome on a daily for business?
To give a little hindsight into a good deep dive into lending, where the career and energy is in all things real estate and lending. In lending, so I got into lending in 2018, right? In 2019 and into 2020. In 2020, I just looked this up recently. In 2020, there were over 600,000 loan originators.
Wow.
Like my position.
Yeah.
In the U.S. Okay, so over 600. I think it was like 680, almost 700,000.
Well, that was part of the real estate boom, right?
Yeah. And mind you, many were there quick and then got out quick. Since 2020 through spring of 2025, it's gone from almost 700,000 nationally and state licensed loan originators down to now less than 90,000.
Whoa. Holy cow.
So from almost 700, there's been like, I think, about 88 or a 90% attrition.
That's crazy.
In that. So part of the battle, man, is just hanging in there. You know what I mean? Learning to refine your craft, learning how to better navigate conversations. If somebody has, for instance, like I work with a ton of business owners, right?
Yeah.
A lot of lenders can't go out of scope. They can't perform on like a bank statement loan or stuff like that.
Sure.
You can speak to this. One of the perks of owning a business is the tax implications, right? You can write off a good amount of your income. That's very American.
Absolutely.
That is, again, getting away from taxes is why we're a country, or we'd still be still be British.
Yeah.
So all of that said, when somebody comes to me and they're like, "Hey, I own a business. My top line is, I'm doing great on my top line. Line 1 is 190,000. Line 31 after I've depreciated all these assets and
30K.
Yeah. No, literally, yeah. 36K. And I'm like, okay, if we're trying to qualify you off 36K over 12 months is only $3,000 a month. You can't have a $3,000 mortgage if you're only making $3,000 a month, so on and so forth. So having kind of the deep well of, hey, I know that another bank or another lender said no, we have an opportunity to take you bank statement loans, stuff like that. So staying froggy and having a good arsenal of products is huge, right? But I feel something personally that's led to a lot of my team's success. Is honestly, it sounds almost watered down, but it's communication.
Yeah.
Everyone, because I know very well my experience when Hannah and I bought our first house in 2015, and we made the mistake of going through a bank locally that I will not name. Sure. And it was just a bleeping nightmare from start to finish. Like it was the most stressful 20 to 25 days of my life, and multiple times that it almost fell through. And then they were like, "Oh yeah." And to a point, we had to walk into the bank and ask, like,
what the
status was.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. And they were like, oh yeah, hold on. Let me look first. Let me see if there's anybody here that can speak to it. Would you guys mind sitting over there? And I'm just like, what is going on? This can't be normal.
Yeah.
This can't be normal. So much so that the agent that I worked with at the time, that's now moved on from real estate, he was like, dude, we need to go just sit down with a more, traditional lender and get out of a bank.
Yeah.
So being that my experience was so lack of communication.
Sure.
Looking back at 2023 and 2024, I did the average the other day because one of my mortgage coach asked me to do it just so I can kind of know my demographic.
Yeah.
82 or 83% of my consumers, my clients, my closed loans were with first-time buyers. So if I know that greater than 80% of my closed transactions are first-time buyers, that's my bread and butter.
Yeah.
Right? So if I know my bread and butter is first-time buyers, and I know my experience was horseshit, for lack of better words.
No, that's perfect.
Because the lack of communication, I know that is exactly what somebody needs. Like I was just texting a family this morning that just got their offer accepted. They're super excited, and they hit me with like 7 questions because I know that they're like burning in their chest. And I was like, I'm shooting a podcast right now. I'll be free by probably 11 or 11:30 this morning. We'll have a quick phone call. But I said, honestly, I love getting first-time home buyers into office so we can have a cup of coffee, spend an hour and a half getting all of your questions answered. And I'm not going to let you leave until we've got all of those I's dotted and T's crossed. And they both just chimed in like, thank you so much. Thank you so much. That just released so much. And I'm like, dude, but a lot of lenders, they like to present that it's just about speed and quick and next file up and speed and quick and next file up. And I'm like, no, like I want a little bit more. I want a little bit more coffee shop in my experience.
It's a human condition.
1,000%.
You need to speak to the human condition because if you're only just going numbers, numbers are cold.
Yeah. And faceless.
And facts hurt.
Yeah.
When it's like, hey, man, your credit score sucks and you're not making as much as you need to for X, Y, and Z. They go, oh. And then you're like, but we can do better. We can work on that. Let's grow that.
Walking that road with somebody is everything, right?
Yes.
At this instant, I probably have a roster of 6 or 7 families that will probably be buying somewhere between fall of 25 to spring of 26 because they've walked through 2, 3, or 4 years of credit card delinquency, overextending on trade lines, late payments, this, that, and the other. So my team will walk that road with a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And I hear time and again, and I'm not prying for this info, but they'll tell me straight up. I got a gentleman in my office the other day. I was running numbers and I was building them out like a profile through Wayfinder, which is a credit builder.
Yeah. I know exactly.
6 month, 3, 6, 9, or 12 month process. Build it out for them, and it was quiet, and I was just tapping away. He's like, "Cam, I got to tell you." I'm like, "Yeah, man, what's going on?" His name's Greg. I'm like, "What's going on, Greg?" He's like, "I've sat with 3 other lenders locally, and not one of them has taken the time to do exactly what you're doing right now."
Wow.
And I just looked at him and smiled. I was like, "I got you, man."
Yeah,
because they're so many, they're just next man up, just boom, 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 and they'll just allow their 780, 760 and up clients with all the money in the bank, and there's no gift or no tie into no seller credit, no down payment assistance, so they'll only focus on that.
Yeah,
but I'm like, that's like we're gonna, but I'm not gonna over prioritize. I'm not going to over prioritize an 800 credit score versus a 550, right? Because they're all people, they're all human, they all have the need, want, and desire to shelter and house their family.
Absolutely,
right. So I'm not going to over prioritize one based on affluence or credit score or money in the bank or whatever. But there's a lot of that, unfortunately. So yeah, my goal in lending is just to bring the human side back to it, the connectivity side, the let's have a conversation. And sometimes it doesn't make sense. And yes, I'm a huge believer in home ownership and everything that it can do. I love working with first generation buyers. Yeah. Because then when they realize what they're doing, like or even like families that are, let's just say like first generation citizens, right? And their lineage on up, they're looking at their mom and dad and their grandpa and their great grandpa that maybe you're coming in from a different country. Yeah. And no one up the lineage tree has ever purchased a house. Wow. And what they're doing is now investing in their kids' future, because now as a parent, you are cognizant of the fact that you are purchasing an appreciating asset. Yeah. Yes, you have your mortgage, but you are purchasing an appreciating asset. You are investing in real estate. Your average home in the U.S. over the most recent 40 years appreciates on average 4%, and that's accounting for 2006, 2002, 2008, 2000, just past 2001. Everything recently during COVID and 40-year max inflation. Your average home over the most recent 40 years still will appreciate by 4%. Right, so you buy a $400,000 house over the course of the first 12 months, it just went up by inherently $16,000 naturally in value. Yeah. Right. So allowing people to see that they're not so far out of scope. Yeah. Is something I'm passionate about. Like a lot of people will have conversations, and all they've ever known is that, that's not for me. It wasn't for my parents, and they rented their whole life, and that's just that it's not meant for me.
Yeah.
And you look at it and you're like, honestly, your credit is in a fine spot. I mean,
yeah,
you're between 580 and 600. That's great for FHA. Your work history is stellar. I'm not worried about your assets because we can partner up with GSFA or CalHAF to cover your down payment, your closing costs.
Yeah.
Now it's just a matter of affordability. And then when people say, okay, well, what can I afford? I'm like, let's not have that conversation. Let's have a conversation. And what are you comfortable with?
Sure, yeah.
Not what can you afford? Because if you can afford here on paper,
yeah,
right, but you don't want that mortgage payment, then that's not what you can afford. Like, what do you feel good?
I think what you're talking about too. So communication's huge, but to me, it's also in a level of diligence.
Yeah.
Because even if you help somebody get through that process, they go through everything as well. You've communicated everything through, and they go, all right, and they know, dude, this is 30 years. You're set on this, and they go, I don't want to do that anymore. That is what I think is what's really crushing a lot of businesses because it's I don't want to do this anymore. And sometimes that's because they've gotten a bad hand.
Something.
Business is open right before COVID. A lot of those closed. Why?
Yeah.
There was no longevity. Good luck with that.
Yep.
And so I think the diligence element of being like, no, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But that comes from conviction. Your conviction, if I'm going to analyze it, comes from a bad experience that you had, making sure nobody else
has that experience.
I want to make them feel the way I wasn't treated. I want them to, treat others as I wish to be treated. I'm going to love them into their house because I know I'm helping them in a huge way. But that's conviction. And that conviction and diligence makes you communicate more, makes you want to be that person. And so it's so easy. Everyone talks about success stories and they're like, oh, we can do all these things. It's like, no, it's diligence. So much of it is going, I got nothing today. I got 0 rewards today, and all I did was put out fires. But why am I still doing it? And if it's only for money, when the market goes up, you go up. And when the market goes down, you go down, because all of your moral effort is not the person.
Is tied to that.
It's just tied to the money. And so I think success in business is your conviction for what you're trying to bring. If what you're trying to bring is a competitive market, then you're tied to the competitive market. But if what you're trying to bring is an experience because you didn't get that, coffee's the same way. First time I had a cup of coffee, person was a total jerk. I went and going, I want that chocolate thing. Like, I'm 16. I don't know what it's called. And they're like, oh, and you want an Americano? I was like, sure. And I went with my buddy who sat down and had his drink. And he goes, he told me, get a mocha. And I was like, all right. And I totally spaced. You know, you get up there. So I get up there and I go, the chocolate thing he just said, I don't know. And the guy's like, oh, you want an Americano? Our coffee has chocolate notes. I said, sure.
You tried it.
I had it and I sat down, I drank it, and I was like, just like the worst, like, oh my gosh. And he goes,
you said, I'll never own a coffee shop.
And I looked at the guy and he goes, what did he do? And I was like, bro, this is the worst. He goes, did you get a mocha? I was like, I asked him to make me the chocolate thing. He goes, what did he give you? And he looks, he's like, that's Americano. I got this. He gets up and he goes, hey, he asked for something chocolatey. You sold an Americano? It's like, well, he needs to balance his palate. It was a total dick about the whole thing. And he goes, no, make him a mocha. So the guy made me a mocha. I was like, oh, that's what I want. He goes, bro.
Glorious.
He goes, I'm sorry to say this, coffee's amazing, but coffee culture is toxic.
Yeah, like anything. You start to get into a subculture, and you're like, oh.
And so I've always tried to be like
some snobbery.
Stay away from the hipster culture. But when you go, hey, this is for families, this is for a place for everybody can come. My heart is I want everybody to not feel like because they're drinking a Frappuccino thing. That they're less than of a coffee drinker. Because that, just like you're saying, I don't want somebody with a bad credit score coming in and going, it's hopeless. Why? Because that's not how we shouldn't be treating people like. But that comes to the conviction.
That's not how we want to be treated, right?
And so I think those experiences, right? Let's look at the small business. So this is according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Here we go.
Okay, so we're hitting specifically on how many businesses fail. This is how many businesses fail within their first year is approximately 20%. First year, they dump within 20.
Failed in their first year. 20%.
The rate increases over time with about 50% failing after their 5th year.
Wow. So only half make it to year 5.
And then 65% fail after 10 years.
Wow. So there's a 65% attrition rate.
Yeah.
In new business. I'm actually surprised it's not higher, to be honest.
Well, I think there's that survival element, man.
Yeah. You start to see, oh man, it's kind of a win just being here, right? So I'm looking at the trends of in 2020, there was 680,000 licensed loan originators in the U.S., and now there's at or less than 90,000.
Absolutely.
Part of the win, you could effectively just say, wow, I have potential to gain 80% market share just by being here.
And that's not talking about sold market. That's not talking about selling out. So those are businesses that actually went bankrupt. That's not talking about the businesses that got a deal with a place that says, hey, we'll buy you out.
That's a good point.
And they're like,
so the number could be higher.
That could be. Could be much higher. Yeah. Because I have been, let's see, we just hit 8 years. And I've talked with plenty.
Congrats, man.
Thanks, man.
And that happened fast.
Yeah, don't get old. You'll know one day.
So wild.
But I've talked with plenty of businesses that they get to a point, they get a product to a point, and they sell their product line to Target, whatever, and then they go, we've got it, and then they just write them a check. And they go, we've got our own COGS. You're good. And they're out of that business. They pretty much get bought out of what they built.
They groomed it and eventually sold it. Right?
And there's tons of YouTube videos of like how to get $1 million. It's like how to build a business to sell. People do that all the time.
Yeah.
So it is a very interesting when you start looking at it. But I bet you if you're looking at small businesses in a small town, what keeps them open is not that bank check that they see. They look at it and they go, well, Harold's going to come in and he's going to get a drink at 2:00 as he does every Tuesday. And then Frank's going to come in on Thursday and he's going to get his sandwich and we're going to talk. And then I'm going to ask him how his wife and kids are. And then we're going to.
And you know their names.
And you know them. And you know that they're.
Like cheers.
Exactly. And they become part of, you become part of their life. They become part of your life.
I love that.
But that diligence and that effort of, I'm part of the community now. And I think that you have a whole generation that struggles with connectivity.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's because of the fast food culture. Come in, get out, leave. Like,
in addition to a lot of this generation has been raised through COVID, which while we're like, oh, let's limit screen time, they had 6 or 8 hours a day of forced screen time on their take-home laptops.
And then needed more screen time to desaturate from that screen time. And parents were like, sure.
I don't know why my kid takes a cocktail of medication every morning, but
yeah,
here you go, Billy.
Yeah. And I think it's just made us do what? That comes down to diligence as well. As a parent, I have to go, hey, how long you been doing that? Time flies for me differently. I can be working on something. Hey, yeah, go ahead and play a game. And I look down, I'm like, what time is it? Oh,
yeah.
Hey, how long you been playing? Oh, okay, get off.
Yeah.
Go out in the backyard and play.
Yeah.
Go to your room. Yeah. Just do something. Or let's go to the park and let's have some exercise. But that diligence of I'm trying to help them. I want to help them grow. And that comes to the conviction. And that conviction, I know how we were raised. There's a faith element to our conviction that speaks very strongly. But it also is the family element as well. And so if you have the divorce rates being so high, I want to say last I looked, it was 83%.
Is it that high?
Yeah, I believe so.
I thought it was in the 50s.
No, I wish it was.
I know it was in the 50s when Blink-182 came out with Stay Together for the Kids.
Divorce rates in America, 2025.
I only know that because that song.
Oh yeah, no, dude, it's gone way down. It's gone way down. But these are first marriages.
50s.
It's lower than that actually.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, 41%. That just makes me, bro. I just fact check myself. I'm a loser. I need to freaking get my numbers.
Wow, Joe. Now they're gonna question every stat.
Good for them.
You know what? Scratch this one, Luke. No.
No, but that's great. 41%. That's actually a huge improvement. Meaning people are willing to kind of stick it through. They're willing to kind of go. It's huge to me, man. I think that if the family element's big,
and not only that, because yes, you bring. I love when I stop into the shop. Like you'll see David run out, like your son run out from the back and just like intermingling with people and grabbing plates and bringing that in. The same thing that we're talking about Joe Free at Silver Dollar having his 10-year-old in the crazy ass socks, past like running in and headbutting him and just like, that's my feral daughter. Like if you know Joe and if you know his family and you know his experience, you know the restaurant, you get to wrap up all of that things into an experience. It's not just I'm here for a burger, I'm here to be fed, you get everything else, right? Like any ape in a suit can get a loan done, right? It's not rocket science. You're looking at work history, credit, assets to close, and debt to income ratio.
Yeah.
Literally 4 things, right? It's all the added stuff.
Yeah.
It's community, it's conversation, it's being able to not just have a conversation about it, it's being able to get off the phone with a 73-year-old investor that you've closed 18 properties with, and then meeting 5 minutes later with a 19-year-old with 582 credit that's looking to game plan for 2 to 3 years later.
Absolutely.
And having a professional conversation with the 73-year-old investor and a professional wise at their level conversation with the 18-year-old.
Absolutely.
And being able to speak to them, meeting them where they're at is everything.
Not meeting
them where they're at. And again, people will feel that when you're genuine. People will feel that when you're transparent. People will feel that. If you're just trying to turn and burn, people will feel that. Yeah. Right?
If all you're trying to do is sell them on a number so that you can make money in your bank account.
No.
Yeah.
Gross. And you gotta be able to sleep at night.
There's an episode. Do you ever watch Bob's Burgers?
No.
Oh my gosh. So that show speaks to me and Regina because it's literally a mom and dad have kids in their shop and they're like daily specials.
There you go.
Hoping to make enough to pay X, Y, and Z. So that show is cathartic. So we make jokes about it all the time. But there's an episode where he goes, you know what? I want my kids to have that. He looks back at working at a burger joint with his dad and he goes, I don't want my kids to have my childhood. Says, I'm firing you. Fires the kids so you're not working in the shop. Gives them the summer off to go out. And within 1 week, the kids are like bored. They don't know what to do because their whole life was in there. Yeah. And then by the end of the episode, he ends up hiring him back on. They're like, Dad, you don't get it. We love it here.
Yeah.
We love that weird grease stain back there. Yeah. We love that. We come in here. This is part of who we are. Yeah. And you're taking that from us. It's easy to be like, I want to give the kids the things that I never had. But kids are also part of the journey down. They're with you. And they get used to the journey with you.
Bro.
So,
1,000%.
Your kids aren't going to look back and be like, my dad was a loan officer. No, my kids aren't going to look back and be like, my dad ran a coffee shop.
And no. And they I love that your kids love being in the coffee shop.
Oh my gosh.
I love that my kids love to be at the mortgage company because they'll, like Beckham, anytime he walks in, like he'll run right by me. And like I posted a photo of him the other day.
Yeah.
He'll pop into my chair, sit back, kick his feet up, cross his little feet, and like either like start typing away on something or just like grab my calculator. And the other day he was doing it, and I was just looking at him. I'm like, bro, I love you. I was like, smile, click. I threw that out there, and it wasn't. It's not staged. It's organic. And when your kids want to be around what you do for work, that's hugely
to me
fulfilling.
That is also generational wealth.
Yeah.
Because what are you doing? Yeah. Say you continue to do it, and then you get to a point where you have a firm where you hire your son to work with you, and now your son keeps it going. Why? Because he didn't hate it.
I can see the Beckaroo doing it.
Right? I see the same thing with my kids. Like, so they went when they were, they're homeschooled now formally.
Good for you.
But when they were in school, they both did both the teachers were like, what do you want to do when you grow up? Both of them we're running our coffee shop. Like there's no question. That isn't me going, you're going to
This is what you need to do.
I said, guys, you do what you love. I'll be here. I love it. But that has never been that. And when they see me happy doing what I love.
Doing what you do.
They go, man, my dad's happy. I want to feel that way. And it's contagious. Absolutely. It's like a smile.
Absolutely.
It's contagious. Effort is contagious. Diligence is contagious.
Well said.
My son couldn't find something, and we've gone through many times, and I do this with Regina. I say, hey, you can't find it? Let's deep clean till we find it. That's what we do.
Love it.
And so David goes, I can't find, and I think it was a game for a Switch, and he goes, I can't find it. I'm going to deep clean. Goes out and just pulls everything out, starts deep cleaning, and it's the last place he looks, but he deep cleaned his room and the living room, got it all. He's like, oh, I found it. Sat there, and he's like, oh, it's bedtime. We're like, no, man, you know what?
No, you worked for it.
Go ahead. Take some time. Oh, okay. But we didn't have to tell him to deep clean.
It's awesome.
That is the moment when you're as a parent, right? But that's what you want in business. You want that feeling. You want to go, man, I want to go to work. And I think what happens is everyone goes, well, what's the advice that I can be good at business? Want to go there.
Yeah.
Have the conviction that you like what you do.
Yeah.
If you don't, it's an eventuality that you're going to get out. Or you're going to go and look to retire.
No, 1,000%.
So you can get out.
And you don't have to, like, and I've ridden that wave before, right? A lot of people are like, you've got to love what you do. You got to love what you do. Trust me, there are days where I'm not like, I can't wait to look at 32 tax returns today, right? Because there's plenty. Don't let me oversell it, man.
No, I get it. I'm saying,
I don't want to oversaturate my market. No, I don't want to oversell it. There's plenty of them. I'm sure Joe doesn't only have great days at Silver Dollar, right? I'm sure Paulie doesn't only have great days at Hooligans. I'm sure Jim King doesn't only have great days at the pizza bar, right? So
yeah,
there has to come a time where you also maybe it's day by day or hour by hour. You're not just turning on the switch of I love what I do, I love what I do, I love what I do.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I love that Hannah hasn't worked since 2020.
That's beautiful.
Because having a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old at home, I have been, and I always kind of knew growing up that whatever I did, whatever I did, I wanted my wife to work if she wanted to.
Sure.
I never wanted to
dictate terms.
Exactly. And God has absolutely faithfully and fruitfully blessed my work and blessed my obedience.
Absolutely.
And I know that all good things come from God, and I do my best to be a good steward with it, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And if there's like one of the biggest like pinnacles for me of my success, if that's what we'll call it, is for Madeline and Bodie have never known their mom other than away from home, being mom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's something that I've always admired about other families. And I was blessed to have that very similar experience. And then sure enough, what did my mom do when we all became school age? She became a teacher, right?
Yeah.
And Hannah, that will eventually, be the case at her own timing and capacity and getting back into education. But no, when you have those kind of convictions and you know your why, like you spoke to it, and it's to provide more, freedom and time freedom for your family, then that's every reason I need to get up in the morning and work hard. I look at Beckham and I look at Maddie and I look at Bodie and Hannah and I'm like, what can I do today to be grossly hyper focused and efficient with my time so we can put ourselves in the best financial position to have more time freedom with my family.
It brings up a thought really quick, and I know we want to land the plane because
you're good.
But you know what's odd is you actually have a lot of people talk about, at least what I noticed, I'm planning on having a wife and kids when I'm in my 30s or in my 40s. Like, they do business for the first amount of time. And it's so backwards.
Totally backwards.
Where I'm like, I got married at 20.
Yeah.
Been married 15 years.
I know, I was there.
I know you were.
What up?
But I'm just saying, it's one of those things like, but that conviction of wanting to take care of my family and wanting to show my kids what it is to be ethical, what it is to be kind to your neighbor in any situation, and how to, like, the other day we had our grinder stop in the middle of a busy section and my kids are sitting there looking, and Regina's like freaks. I said, I got it. I go over there, start taking it apart, start cleaning it. And I have somebody, I was like, hey, it's going to take me a couple minutes to get this. Gina's working on, we had another grinder. She's working on that, but I'm trying to fix our main one. And it's stressful. And my kids are like, are you okay, Dad? I said, it's going to be all right. They're like, are you sure of this? I said, no, it's going to be fine. And I sit there, all of a sudden, get it to start working. There's something jammed. Fix the whole thing, got it up working, works great. And the kids are like, and then they're all feeling all stressed. I say, hey, let's go to the park. So we got some ice cream. We went to the park. And they're like, man, that was stressful. I was like, do you see Dad being stressed? They're like, Actually, no.
No.
Dude, this is part of life.
Yeah.
It's part of the journey.
Yeah.
It isn't stressful.
Yeah.
But getting to show them that.
Yeah, that's huge, man.
Right? And so what I'm saying is like there is an incentive to you to do better because you know there's little eyes wide.
Absolutely.
And if all you're doing is trying to do the corporate big thing, climb up the ladder, do that. And some people are made that way, and respect to you. Love
the world needs all kinds.
But if you're wanting to get into business and you're wanting to do, you got to find your why. And it's so easy to find your why when you're married and have kids. It is very easy. And if you're not, finding your why is going to be so self-serving.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to invest into something that's so self-serving because what do they get out of it? Right? It's the same thing, treating others as you would want to be treated. So I don't know, man. Who was I listening to? It was some celebrity was on a show and he goes, yeah, you know, my 5-year-old. They're like, oh, you're 45. Yeah. He goes, yeah, my 5-year-old. It's really great. And I'm like, 45, 5-year-old. I'm like, by the time I'm 45, I'll have grandkids.
Potentially, huh? Yeah.
Hopefully.
That's wild.
No pressure, David.
Yeah.
You better.
Time to perform.
But no, it's just, I think it's just a different value system.
No, it is.
And I hope it gravitates back to that.
You can only hope, right? But one thing, and this is, I mean, I've always had 1,000% admired that about you. You keep your family as you keep your family in pole position, right? Everything else is everything else.
Yeah.
Coffee is behind your family, your relationship in and outside of the coffee shop and community is second, third, and fourth to family. That's your driving force. That's your why. That's the foundation, and everything else is everything else. And if you can find a way to make a little bit of money in lending and provide for your family, or make a little bit of money in coffee and provide for your family,
absolutely,
and love to work with people and love the intricacies of navigating the road of either, you know, financial freedom with a family or the perfect butterbeer latte, right? At the end of the day,
absolutely,
it's about serving people. It's about loving people and meeting them where they're at. I love you, bro.
Love you too, my man. Cut. Thank you for checking out the Cam and Joe Show.
If you guys are liking our content so far, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can also listen to us on Spotify.